before you were running with the apes, yeah, apex at the Empire State, man. And no chroma tape that. Ah, okay. How's it going, everybody? I'm Infamous Isaac, and I'm back with another installment, or episode 4, the One Piece review series that I'm doing. And this time I'm here with Thriller Bark, the next arc after the post-Annie's, like, portion of the series. And right off the bat, I'm just gonna say some people hate this arc or some people love it, right? And I'm honestly, it's I'm really bad at doing this because of the fact that like I'm always like I try to see both sides, which it can be a good or bad thing. But here it's just like I can understand why people don't like it, and I can understand why people do like it, right? I majority like or how do I say that? Hmm. I like it more than I hate it or dislike it is what I'm trying to say. The parts that I don't like, obviously, people might like or people don't like. I can like I I know why I don't like them, but the parts that I do like, I love. So it's like Water Seven in the sense of like I just don't like some of them because of just me. But anyways, so Thriller Bark, right? It's not that long of an arc compared to like Annie's Lobby and Water Seven, but it's a decently sized one. It has a lot to it, right? So basically, it starts off with the crew 3 days after post Annie's Lobby, so after all the Garp stuff, and they find a barrel as a offering to the sea god, and turns out it's a flare that goes up into the sky, and the crew always says it's gonna alert people to their position because they're pirates and that's not good. Oh. So instead of going to Fishman Island like they want to, very important place in the world. Um, I forgot. Jeez, why is the game so loud whenever I play this? My goodness. Yeah, I'll make sure I turn that down. Oh, no wonder because it's that loud. Let's put it to 60. There you go. That sounds way better. Okay, so instead of going to Fishman Island, they end up somewhere else because of a storm, and because of the barrel. And lo and behold, it's the name of the arc, Thriller Bark, a pirate ship that looks like an island because of how big it is. And it's run by what's this dude? What's this dude's name? Gecko Moira. I'll explain his importance later. But during that thing, that little excursion of them going over there, they in the or on the way they meet up. Jeez, I can't speak. On the way they meet a skeleton named Brook, right? It's like 7 to 8 feet tall. He's legit dead, but he's a skeleton, so he's reanimated because of his devil fruit. And Luffy, being the optimistic captain, he's like, "Yo, you want to join it?" He's like, "Sure." So Brook is now part of the crew temporarily, and so he's like, I lost my shadow. I've been here for like a couple hundred years. Well, not 100 years. A couple decades." And so he's like, "I need to find my shadow. Thank you for everything that you've done for me." Anyways, ta-da, or toodaloo. And so he leaves. And they end up on Thriller Bark, right? They split up the crew to go investigate it. I forget. Uh, well, actually, let me rephrase that. Nami, Usopp, and Chopper get split off from the main group because of what's it called? Tides and on Thriller Bark and all that. So they're on the island first, while Luffy and the rest of them have have to go and find them. Usopp, Nami, and Chopper, they all end up with some hijinks. They meet some of the people on the island. They meet what's the name? What's the name? A scientist. I forgot his name. But honestly, it really doesn't matter. Well, it does, but I just don't care about him. They meet a scientist. They meet Absalom, a tiger mixed with a human, and they meet oh my gosh, I forgot her name. I'm so terrible with names. My goodness. But, mm, mm, mm. Oh, Dr. Hogback. There you go. That's the doctor's name. Well, scientist. And he has an assistant named Sindri. She's important. If I can find a person's name, oh my goodness. Absalom. Lola, there you go. Absalom has his, what's it called? This reanimated pig wife named Lola. Well, not wife, but like, uh, I forgot. I had a perfect word for it. She's obsessed with him basically. She wants to marry him and nobody else can marry him. And then Absalom sees Nami, immediately wants to marry her, but Lola's a problem because she wants to kill Nami because of that. And so they all get split up. Now Absalom has Nami, wants to marry her. Usopp and Chopper have to go find a way to get her. But things are looking pretty bad. And then the main crew on the ship go and try and find them. And they all basically like get sectioned off and split up. So Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy lose their shadows in altercations and interactions with the people on the island. While Robin, Frankie, yeah, Robin and Frankie actually, just find Brook again, and they find out that his shadow is in one of the people on this island named Ryoma, a legendary swordsman from Wano. And so now the missions become we gotta get our shadows back, and we gotta find our crew before daytime comes and we die. Because if you don't have your shadow on you while it's daytime and the sun hits you, you're dead. You basically get disintegrated. That's why when we find Brook, he's like there's a big mist around him when we find him and it's dark outside. So that's why we're able to see him when we see that he has no shadow. And so, ah, jeez, what's it called? My goodness, multitasking is terrible. Um, anyways, so now that's the mission, right? And the person who's taking their shadows isn't Dr. Hogback, isn't Absalom, isn't Sindri, isn't Lola, or isn't Ryoma. It's Gecko Moira, the guy I mentioned earlier in the beginning. And he is a warlord. And I don't remember if I've mentioned warlords before in this series, but Crocodile was also a warlord. The guy, the main bad guy for um, Alabasta, there you go. And Gecko Moira, he's a warlord because he's mad strong. We find out that he went to Wano to fight Kaido, who is an emperor, who, you know, top dogs of the sea. There's only five of them. Well, excuse me, four of them. And he got whooped, like bad. And so now he's amassing an army of zombies with people's shadows in those zombies to go and fight Kaido again. And Gecko Moira is his power is shadows. He can steal people's shadows and put them into other things. And since Dr. Hogback can make reanimated zombies, he can put those shadows in those zombies and basically make a whole nother person with the personality of that person. Because you know it's a shadow. The closest thing that would know your personality would be your shadow because they follow you every day. You know, what do you think that makes sense or not? I mean, like it's up to you, but I have no problem with it. And so they have this scheme of putting people's shadows into zombies and all that. Sentry is actually one of those. She's a zombie with a personality in her. But like the body, like it's already deceased, right? It's a different body, dependent from her, or independent, excuse me, from the personality that she has. So that's why she, a really beautiful looking singer who used to be alive, is obsessed with scissors and hates breaking plates or something like that, or loves breaking plates. So that's an example of it. And Luffy's shadow, since he's mad strong, quote unquote, well, not quote unquote, he is mad strong, but his shadow gets put into a giant that passed away like 300 years ago. I forgot his name, but Oars. There you go, Oars. His shadow gets put into Oars, which makes him even stronger because you know giants and all that. Giant body, mad strong. Luffy, his shadow, personality wise, mad strong. And so this becomes a problem because if Ors is fully under Moira's control, he's gonna basically be unstoppable. And so they need to stop that as well. But well, before or after they find their shadows doesn't really matter. They just need to stop it. And so now they need to do that. Um, Sanji without a shadow, he goes to look for Nami. Zoro tries to find or goes with Brook to find what's it called? Oh my goodness, to find his shadow. While Robin and Frankie, Chopper and Usopp go to fight Oars to basically like hold him off. What's his face? Brook gets a shadow. The fight was mad sick, even though it was mad short. Um, Ryoma, the swordsman from Wano, gives Zoro, I think the sword's name is Shisui, or I think I might be misremembering. I don't remember the name exactly, but something akin to that. And it's mad strong. And since last time I mentioned, Zoro lost his swords in the battle, or I don't know if I did or not, but during Annie's lobby, right? Like the end of Annie's lobby, where everything's going like down, everybody's trying to escape. The Buster Call is happening. Zoro was fighting a dude with a devil fruit that makes any metal or anything rust. Excuse me. And so Zoro threw his sword at him like a swing, and the sword rusted. And so there you go, a new replacement, Shisui. Ryoma basically, or Zoro earned his respect. He gave him a sword, and now Zoro's mad strong again. Brook gets his shadow back, and now he's ready to start scrapping because he's been here trying to fight. What's it called? Ryuma or Ryoma. Ryuma, I don't remember, but like something akin to that again. And he's been getting whooped, even though Brook is a good swordsman. He's not as good as Ryuma. I'm gonna be alternating between those two, so if I say one or the other, it's because I'm dumb. But anyway, so he's been fighting him. He's been getting whooped, even though Brook, his Devil's Fruit's pretty sick. He's been getting whooped. He needed somebody like Zoro to beat him, and he did. He got a shadow back, and now he's helping out along with Zoro, fighting Oars. And so, what's it called? Sanji's over there fighting Absalom. He beats him. Well, actually, does he? No, he does. Yeah, he does. And Sanji has a scene in this really, really perverted. Like, extremely perverted, but we're not going to talk about it. It's not, honestly, not one of his best moments, but everybody has flaws, so we're just going to move on from it. But anyways, so he beats Absalom, gets Nami back. Lola and Nami become friends, actually. And like she knew that Absalom was just a dirty dog, like because her personality from the original person is a cool person. And oh goodness, um, they become good friends. Like Nami originally deceived her to become her friend, so they could at least like, or she could at least delay her from trying to kill her for as long as she could. But they actually built a good friendship, so now she can count on her. And on the other hand, Luffy, I haven't mentioned him much. He, since he lost his shadow, he's trying to find Moira. And he did, but he got worked over again, so he got sent flying all the way over to the other side of the island where Luffy finds out there's more people there hiding who lost their shadow like Brook. And we see Lola's original body, and she's a child of Big Mom, another emperor. That's gonna become important literally like hundreds of episodes later on. But for right now, just remember that Lola is an important character. But anyways, yeah, so Lola runs this basically like brigade of troops and all that who are basically here to stop or try to get their shadows back, right? And they've had a bunch of shadows stored up just in case if somebody strong comes around, so they can give them those shadows, because you can have multiple shadows in one body, right? I forgot to mention that because shadows in this arc work mad weird, but you can have multiple shadows in one person. That's that's why they have so many saved up in case like again like I said somebody strong comes around and they can give them those shadows, make them mad strong. Because if you have multiple in you, you become mad strong and devious. So Luffy just so happens to be that person who came around and was mad strong. So they're like, all right, if you want to beat Gecko Moria before the time limit of like sunrise, right? You're going to need to, geez, what's it called? Take these shadows and eat them, basically making you mad strong. So he's like, all right, but he eats them, and then I'll leave that for later. But I forgot to mention, like during Zoro fighting Ryuma and Sanji fighting Absalom, Chopper was actually having a fight with along with Robin while he was fighting Dr. Absalom, right? This goes nowhere. Gotta expand that later. Um, since Chopper's a doctor and all that, medical field expertise in it, he doesn't agree with the way Dr. Absalom, or not Absalom, Dr. Hogback, excuse me, is going about things, right? Because he was like, oh, immortality. He was flaunting it like towards Chopper in the beginning of the arc, like I found a way to make people immortal, and I've been exiled because of it. Not knowing that this was the way that he was doing it, using dead bodies to bring people back, with shadows as the main source of energy. Chopper doesn't agree with this because moral stand compass and all that, and so when they meet again, he's ready to box him. Robin's helping him out, and they're boxing. Chopper wins because main character, but he didn't lose. Like he wasn't on the brink of losing. He's just legit like he just washed. Sindri, basically, comes. Oh, jeez, what was that? Huh? Something just flew into my face. All right. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, Chopper. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, damn, I completely forgot. Alright, Chopper, he's talking to Sindri, and he's like, yo, please, you're not his slave, you don't have to be, you're better than this, blah, 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 blah. Basically, appealing to her human side and all that. It works, and they win. That's basically it. And so, that fight's done. I forgot to mention that happened between that and before Oars got reanimated. And now, back to the present. Luffy has like over 100 shadows in him, and he's ready to box. Well, everybody's fighting Oars, even Nami and all that. Oh, actually, Nami went to the ship, so I forgot to mention that. But besides her, everybody else is boxing Oars. They're not winning because this dude's mad strong. He's a giant. And then Luffy shows up with 100 shadows, and he has his own form. Like this thing has its own form, and it's called Nightmare Luffy. Mad strong. Like in the series so far, it's the strongest form we've seen of him, or seen for him. So pretty important. He works Oars, like actually completely washes him, and Moira starts controlling him, right? He starts controlling Oars, making sure that he doesn't do anything stupid because Oars has Luffy's personality, so he's not the best, like, he's not that smart, he's just fighting smart. And so Moira starts controlling him, making sure that all of his movements are precise so he doesn't get worked over by these people. And now things start looking bad. But they get the best of him. And now over to Nami stuff, right? Nami is over at the Thousand Sunny, and she's interacting with a person that Usopp fought, who I actually forgot to mention. Wow, that's crazy because that's one of the best fights in the arc. Usopp versus Perona. I forgot to mention her. She's really important, right? So she's a girl who controls ghosts and all that. Usopp being a scaredy cat and all that, her ghosts can't affect them, and her power with her ghosts is they if they fly through you, they basically demotivate you and make you depressed. Usopp, being the negative Nancy that he is, always being depressed, isn't affected by it because he's always negative. A little joke gag that they have there. And so he's like, alright, I'm gonna go deal with her. You guys go find whatever. Go find everybody else. This happened like when Nami and Chopper went missing along with Usopp, and everybody went on to the main island to find them. They found Usopp. Oh, it is a villager. Hate to see it. Well, anyways, so this happened while Usopp, Nami, and Chopper went onto the island. Like I said, got split up, and Nami was getting ready to get married. Excuse me. And so he fought her. It was a really cool fight. I'm not gonna go into it deep because A, I forgot a lot of it, and B, it's so good that I don't really want to talk about it. It kind of ruins the fight if I do. But it was cool. It was cool. But anyways, yeah, Perona, after losing to Usopp, we're coming around to the end of like, well, not the end of the arc, more like we're getting closer to the end of the middle. Like we're coming to the end of it, and basically Perona's over there, and she's gonna try and steal the Thousand Sunny because she has no ties to this place except for like Gecko or Moira being her master and all that, helping her and all, where she was down bad. And so she's like, alright, I want to leave, even though he did so much for me. I'm leaving, I'm gone. And she tries to steal it, but Nami's there, and she sees another warlord show up. So at this point in time, right, there's 7 warlords, and one of them replaced what's this dude's name? Crocodile. So far we've only seen 3 of them. Actually, scratch that, 4 of them. We've seen Doflamingo, we've seen Crocodile, ex-warlord, now replaced. We've seen Moira, who we're fighting right now, and we've seen this new one that showed up, Bartholomew Puma. And this dude is strong, like actually legit strong. He stands over Perona, and he's like, yo, where do you want to go? And then she's like, oh, I know, somewhere moody, somewhere dark, grim. But why do you ask? And then this dude literally swings a vat of air and makes her disappear. Kuma? No, Bartholomew Kuma. There you go. I think if I said Puma before, I'm sorry, I'm kind of dumb. But what's it called? She's gone. She just disappeared. For all we know, she's dead. And so Nami's mad terrified. She's trying to make sure that she isn't like noticed by him. But that fails because immediately he goes up to her, teleports to her, and he's like, "This straw hat here." He was like, "Oh, oh no." I was like, All right, and then he leaves. And basically, we've seen him before. I just haven't mentioned him up until now. Like we've seen him talking to Moira. So we've seen him before. So I'm trying to say, and he's gonna be important later. Just don't worry. Right now he isn't. So while all that's going on, they defeat Moira while he's controlling oars, and Moira pulls nothing short of like a Deus Ex Machina, like excuse my language, but an ass pull. This man summons all of the shadows on the island, which makes sense for his power. It's just like he was already beaten, or at least we thought. And then he's like, nope, I'm not. Let me eat 1,000 shadows, aka all the shadows on the island. And he does it. He eats all the shadows on the island. And he becomes the strongest being on that island. Well, I don't know if he's stronger than Kuma, but for right now, for sake of argument, and for the sake of hyping up the battle, he's the strongest being on the island right now. And, like, he's legit overflowing with shadows, right? You can kind of see it from the way that he's going on about fighting them. He's overflowing with shadows and he can't handle it, right? But he's still strong. They need to deal with him. And so they're fighting him and they're getting worked. And Luffy is basically taking advantage of the fact that he's overflowing with shadows. And he beats him. It's supposed to be like a climactic battle This is the final battle of Thriller Bark. Like the day is coming, and they're getting ready to say their prayers because they might not make it in time, right? Luffy hits him with dang, I forgot the name of the Gear 3. Gear 3, we didn't get to see it in well, we did actually. We got to see it in Enies Lobby, and we get to see it here against Moira, but like in its full form. And basically like he expands his bones and all that, making it so any limb of his is bigger. But only one limb, and then he gets small whenever he uses it because he hasn't perfected it. But he uses it against him. It beats him because he can't control those shadows, that amount of people. He's not built for it, for lack of better words. He loses, which that makes sense to me. Like at least that makes sense. He lost because he couldn't control it. Even though he was strong, he was still battered and tattered from the battle before, and he couldn't control it. So obviously it was gonna end in ruin. If they if he or if they played their cards right, they would have lost. That's for sure though. He was stronger than them, but he lost because he couldn't control it. And they get their shadows back. Everyone on the island got their shadows back just in time, while literally like the sunlight was about to erase them. You know, because climactic finish. And everybody, including Lola and her group, have their shadows back. Nami says goodbye to what's her face, the zombie version of Lola, and she meets the real version of Lola. So it's like nothing happened. And Hogback, he got cooked. Like he's not dead, but he got cooked. Absalom, he's alive. He's chilling. He just got beat. And Perona isn't on the island anymore, so all that's left is Mora basically cooked. And everybody with their shadows back. So celebration, right? This is the end of Thriller Bark, and now it's time for post Thriller Bark. I don't know how long this video is going to be because of this, but basically just understand that we're getting to the best part of or we are at the best part of Thriller. Oh my goodness, excuse me. We're at the best part of Thriller Bark now. There's nothing better than this in this arc. And I say that with certainty. So, spoilers. Oh, well, I forgot to mention at the beginning. I'm stupid. But spoilers, this is good. This is greatness. So, everybody's there chilling. Luffy's mad tired. He legit can't do anything. He's overworked and he's tired because this is 3 days after the Enies Lobby stuff, right? Like obviously they had some time to recuperate because of post Enies Lobby stuff that happened, but not a lot, right? So he's tired. He's really tired. He overworked himself, but he's chilling. Everybody's happy. Sanji's making food for everybody. Brooke is making music, having merriment. Everybody's happy, right? And then like not even like 10 minutes later after the battle, Kuma shows up. Bartholomew Kuma again. After Nami saw him, he disappeared, showed back up at the end of the arc. He's like, alright, I'm gonna have to box you, I'm a warlord for a reason. Even though I used to be a pirate, well, not a pirate, not a military official, I gotta box you. And Luffy basically dead on the floor, like lifeless because of how tired he is. He's like, you know what? Let's do it, G. But Kuma knocks everybody out except for like 3 people, right? Zoro and Sanji and Brooke. Those people, as far as we know, are still like awake. They're conscious. And Zoro tells Sanji, take everybody else and get out of here. I'm dealing with this. As the vice captain of the crew, I have to. Our captain is done. Even though I'm no better, our captain is done and I need to do this. And so Kuma's like, alright, how about we make a deal, right? I won't kill you guys. I'm not going to kill any of you. If, and only if, you do this. And he uses his power to take out Luffy's, like, every ounce of damage and pain that he's feeling right now. He took all of it out. So Luffy, when he wakes up, he's gonna feel rejuvenated, excuse me. But this ball is huge. Like Bartholomew Kuma is like 10 to 11 feet tall. This ball is as big as him. And this is all of his pain. Everything from dealing with the shadows to fighting Moira to now. Everything. To fighting Ors and getting his shadow back. Everything. And Kuma gets like 1 centimeter of a ball out, like really small. Like if you make a circle with your 2 fingers, it's basically the size of that ball or gap that you have in between your fingers, right? And he gives it to Zoro. He's like, here's a little test. And Zoro starts geeking, right? This is a lot of pain, and this man isn't at full condition. Like he's not at full strength because of the fact that he's tired and the battles that he fought, and he can't fight Kuma because of how strong he is. So he's basically helpless. He has to do this, and he gets that one sample of it, and he's already almost dead because of it. He's struggling, like he's bleeding, and he's like, "This is gonna suck, but I'm gonna do it for our captain." And so he sees the ball, he extends his hands, and he pushes into the ball. And we cut to Sanji's perspective, right? Because Zoro knocked out Sanji because he wanted to try and fight Kuma, even though Zoro knew he couldn't. They like both together, they couldn't do it. And Sanji wakes up and he goes to find Zoro because everybody got knocked out by Kuma, so they're out for longer. The only people that saw what happened are Brook. Well, later we find out Robin saw it, and 2 of the people in Lola's crew saw it. So only a very few amount of people saw what happened. And Sanji goes to find Zoro. He's trying to look for everybody. He tries to see what happened because he got knocked out, like I said, and he finds him. And he's like, "Oh, you're still standing. Well, what happened? Do we have to go fight him? If you are, I'm ready." And then Zoro, with the beast of a man he is, stands there, bleeding out of every orifice in his body. He says, "Nothing happened." And this isn't like a response like, "Oh, he's conscious." This dude says that like he's basically dead. This man is literally on death's door, if not already passed into the other world. This man responds with nothing happened and nothing else. And Sanji's just worried, like, "Bro, we need to get you some medical attention," like, and he's like, "Nothing happened," and that's it. So whether or not that moment sounds epic to you or not, like, just be talking about it and how much excitement like I have just discussing it. It's just it's a testament to how good it is. Like post Thriller Bark is so good. It's so good. It's a lot longer than I made it sound, but it's so good. And it's not done yet actually. Like I'm still not done with it yet, excuse me. And so after all that happened, nobody talks about it, right? Robin saw what happened, but she didn't see it. She more or less like heard what happened from the 2 guys that saw what happened, right? When Sanji got knocked out by Zoro, when Brook saw what happened, and when those 2 guys saw what happened, they basically told Sanji like, "All right, this is what happened. He's a beast." And he told them, "Dude, don't you ever tell anybody about this. This is going to stay a secret between me, you, and the man who saw it." And they're like, "All right, Captain." And so Robin overheard the conversation. She understands that she's not going to talk about it. So there's in total 6 people that know what happened. 7, including Kuma. But anyways, moving on from that, Zoro's basically knocked out. He's recovering. He's struggling. And geez, what's it called? Everybody else, Luffy's good. Like he's chilling because of the fact that Zoro took all his pain, which like it's kind of honestly kind of poetic. The vice captain running all of the pain, so the captain can lead everybody. Like the unseen consequences of what the captain does, basically. Even though that wasn't Luffy's fault, like Kuma showing up, nobody would have predicted that. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, so Luffy, Sanji, Usopp, and Brook are just chilling. They're vibing out, and They're all just having a good time. Everybody's having a party. Zoro's knocked out, but he's alive. So everything's good. Everybody's having a good gay old time. And I mean gay isn't like the happy, not not disrespectful to homosexuals or anything. Whatever. I'm just gonna dig a bigger hole if I keep explaining it. Um, so what's it called? They're talking while everybody's having a good time, and they're just like, so we're they were just talking about their experiences, right? Everything, everybody, everything Brooks been through, and he starts going into his backstory, right? And I I made a video on or short on his backstory, and a song that he plays during the event, or not the event. Well, I guess the celebration that they're all alive is called Binks, a song that him and his crew made. And basically, Brooks' backstory is that him and his crew were all a bunch of musicians, and they're all just having a good old time. But the captain got sick, and now they're just basically waiting for him to die. But on the way, they meet a whale named Laboon. And if you remember, hopefully if you remembered, or if I mentioned it, Laboon was a whale that they met when they were crossing the red line with Crocus. Or when they met Laboon with Crocus. And what's it called? Crocus was taking care of Laboon, uh, waiting for a couple of pirates who said they were going to come back to basically like meet him, because Laboon was there with Brook when he was still alive, when he didn't have a devil fruit power. Well, when he did have a devil fruit power when he was alive, it just didn't do anything, right? He had to die to figure out that it did something. And so, what's it called? Laboon was there. They got really attached to each other because Laboon was a young whale at the time, really wholesome, really cute. And but they get ready to leave, because they're pirates and they have to go. And so Laboon gets too attached. She keeps going and she keeps going and she keeps following them, but it's getting too dangerous for him. I mean, and so they have to stop her. And so they make sure that he doesn't follow him. It's honestly really sad, but what's it called? The deed is done, and they lose Laboon. Obviously, he's not dead because we see him later on in the beginning, but the captain basically they have to leave him behind in a town, his hometown, because he's too sick. He can't go on any further. So Brook becomes the captain at that point. He becomes the pseudo captain, well, the replacement for the old captain that they had, and they're enjoying themselves. They're trying to make the best out of this horrible situation, trying to live on for their captain, having a good old time. And like when the captain passed on the torch from him to Brook, it was I'm not gonna lie, I started crying, man. It was sad, honestly. It was really sad because when the crew was there in the same bed or same room with him, well, while the captain was sick before they left, and they were like, "Don't worry, guys. You guys don't have to be big softies around me. Just know that I'm fine, and I know you guys are gonna move on anyway. So just do it for me at the least." And then they leave, and then Brook stays, and then he's like, "Brook, please, I don't want to die yet." And that caught me off guard so crazy. Like I was so sad, even though I've seen it before. And so Brook and all of them are moving on. They're moving forward, and they cross paths with the same sea that Thriller Bark is on, right? Because the same sea that Thriller Bark is on is cursed. It's mad cursed. And Gecko Moira just so happened to be there now. Actually, no, hold on. Let me make sure I don't mess this up so I don't spread information on the art that isn't true. I have to have a timeline here in case I forget something important because I've been forgetting a lot of important stuff, so I gotta make sure that I gotta make sure that I get it right. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. And this arc is mad long. Like, my goodness. Oh, okay. So it wasn't Moira who killed the pirates, right? So it was just the captain's sickness, right? The captain's sickness was incurable at the time because Brooke, lo and behold, even though he's like 88 years old now, he died when he was like 30, around there. So 50 years ago, he was around and swinging as a live person. Well, as, as a human being, alive, not a skeleton. And so, because of the disease that the captain had, it spread to the other members, including Brooke. They were in the sea, like where Thriller Bark would soon be, and they all died. They went out singing Binks, Laboon's favorite song and everybody else's favorite song. And one by one, everybody, as they were playing their instruments, they fell ill and they died. And honestly, that moment right there broke me. Like, I was in tears. And right now, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. Like, that moment was so, so sad. And at this point, like, this flashback, like, in pre-time skip, my favorite flashback. The only other flashback that made me cry this bad was Chopper's flashback with Dr. Kureha and all of them. So that's a tantamount achievement. I think that's how you say it, or I think that's what it means, but whatever. Like that's an accomplishment to get me to cry that much over like a shonen story like that. Like, would it be shonen? I don't really know, but it was great. And the flashback still isn't done, right? Like so far, from like the time that they met Laboon and Crocus is was the start of the flashback till now. We're coming close to the end of it, and so, ah, jeez, what's it called? Oh my gosh. Brooke comes back alive after his body has deteriorated and all that, and it turns out that his fruit, the devil fruit, was the soul fruit, and basically revived him. And now he has devil fruit powers from it. And everybody else on the ship was dead, and so he was there on the ship for a good couple years, legit just chilling with the ghosts of his friends. Well, with the carcasses of his friends, just there. And he's like actually going mentally unstable, like he's struggling because it's like survivor's guilt, you survived when everybody else didn't. And so he's just there struggling, trying to make the best out of it, but struggling really bad until he comes across Thriller Bark, where he meets everybody. He finds Ryoma, he gets worked over, and he loses his shadow. And for the next amount of years, he's gonna try to get his shadow back by fighting Ryoma, but barely making it out alive every time. He also has an afro because he just has that from when he was alive. That's it. Like, there's no other reason. And so that's what he's been going through for the past 50 years that he's been dead but alive. And so Usopp is crying. Luffy is crying. Sanji is smoking a cigarette to try to hide the fact that he's crying. I'm over here bawling my eyes out, singing Bink Sake even though it's in Japanese. And it's just mad sad. And so Luffy, being the person that he is, he asks Brook once again, "Do you want to join my crew for real this time?" And Brook, with tears in his eyes, or the lack of eyes that he has, but in where they would be, starts crying and says yes. And so Brook becomes, how many members is this now? Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, and Brook. Member number 9. Brook becomes member number 9 of the Straw Hat crew. And that's where the arc ends. They basically get ready to leave. They say their goodbyes to Lola and her crew. Make sure that everybody's straight over there. Lola gives her a river card, which is basically, I don't know if it's toenail or DNA, like it's DNA of the person, right? And it's a piece of paper that basically points to that person, points to the person wherever they are, no matter what. That paper will always be pointing to where that person is. And if the person dies, the paper burns up. And so we've already seen this piece of paper before, and Luffy remembers that Ace gave him this piece of paper, a same piece of paper like that, but for him. And it's a lot, and I mean a lot smaller than it was when Ace gave it to him. And so Luffy starts getting a little bit worried, but he's like, you know what? Ace can handle himself. I don't have to worry about him yet. Everything's good. And everybody's like, you sure? And I was like, yeah, he's good. And so, saying goodbye to Lola, one of Big Mom's daughters, I cannot stress that enough, that is really important, and her crew, they leave Thriller Bark with everything that happened after that behind them, going on to the next arc, Saba the Archipelago. Which you would think I would say, oh, the next arc is Fishman Island. No, not for a long time. But that's the end of Thriller Bark, man. For me, I forgot to mention what parts I didn't like. And honestly, it was everything from like when Nami, Usopp, and Chopper stepped onto the island to the point where Oars got resurrected. Like that's basically the part that I didn't. Well, to the point where Oars gets defeated and Moira starts taking control of him. That's basically the parts that I didn't like. That whole section, I just thought it was to me, I thought it was boring. I just wasn't engaged much. Like the only parts that really got to me, like I enjoyed, were Zoro's fight with Ryoma, Brook being like struggling to take him down, but him still trying no matter what. He never gave up. Frankie and Robin versus that giant spider. Oars coming back and fighting the Straw Hat crew. Perona versus Usopp, and Luffy just trying to find um, Moira. Besides that, those were the only moments that I enjoyed from like the middle of Thriller Bark. But the beginning of it, I loved. I loved the beginning of Thriller Bark because it had me engaged and all that. I'm always gonna like the beginning of it, and the end of it, like when Moira gets all the shadows. Even though it seems stupid, like I still enjoyed it. I was still engaged because it was the end of Thriller Bark, and it was honestly it had me excited. It was interesting. And post Thriller Bark, I'm not gonna make a separate video on it, or if I have to, I'll just cut it out, cut this part out, and then make a separate video on it and go over it again. But what's it called? The post Thriller Bark stuff is literally the peak of Thriller Bark because the flashbacks, everything that happens with Zoro, all the crew being happy and all that. Just I'm like just happy that they're alive because this by far this is the hardest battle they've ever had because of how cheese it is. Like even if the military was like they barely made it out alive, this like they were actually on the brink of death, almost all of them. So this like they barely made it, but they did. They made it still. And next, they're gonna the next arc, like I said, is gonna be Sabadi Archipelago, even though they still want to go to Fishman Island. Like the main goal, the main goal is to find Fishman Island so they can go there, right? Because that's the next step. But that's not the next arc, so you're probably wondering why, and I'll get to that in the next time I talk about it. But that's gonna be all. That's gonna be everything for me for now. That Thriller Bark, honestly, I give it like a 6 out of 10 on its worst day, a 9 out, or almost a 10 out of 10 on its best days. By far, the peak of Thriller Bark was the best part of the series so far. Like, and there's more to come. So don't worry. Like, Sabadi Archipelago is only like going up from here until the end of pre-time skip. So yeah, I've been Infamous Isaac, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of my review series. Um, if there were people who watched this, I'd probably like ask like, "Oh, what's your favorite moment of this arc?" or something like that, or "What's your favorite character?" or something. But I mean, who really cares? You know, that's for the future. If I ever, if that ever happens. But I check y'all out. I hope y'all enjoyed. Peace.